there, my name's Scott. Today I'm going to be doing a review on the surge tank which I received from www.310vapors.com. Before I start, I must point out I did receive it free of charge for the purpose of conducting a review. My opinion of the product remains true, honest and accurate as always. Okay, so let's go straight ahead and show you in a bit more detail. Okay, so here are the three main parts that make up the surge tank. You have the main body, the base section which has a 510 connection and a 6mm dropper bottle which you will fill up with your favourite e-liquid. Also included is one of these small Allen keys and like a soft sort of velvet carrying pouch. Now the main body is made from aluminium. The base section, now this particular one is made out of brass, but I've been told today that it was just like a limited edition that they was doing, and all future ones will be made out of the aluminium as well. Okay, so the idea of the surge tank is that it allows you to attach it to any device that uses a 510 connection, and it will then turn that device into a bottom fed juice feeder. So this is the like the top section, and as you can see, it's made out of very thick aluminium, and you know, extremely strong. Like this is as solid as a rock, but it's also very lightweight too. Like this sort of hardly feels like you're holding anything in your hand. On top you have a 510 connection, so you can use this with 510 atomizers or 306 atomizers, which are also compatible. In the centre there you have a small spike, and that runs all the way down and goes straight into your bottle of e-liquid. And then basically when your atomizer starts running dry, you give the bottle of e-liquid a few squeezes. That will then force juice up and feed it onto the heating coil of the atomizer, and then you can have a nice vape. So here we have the base section of the surge tank, and like I said, it uses a 510 connection. Right in the centre there you actually have an adjustable centre pin. So depending on what sort of device you're using, you may need to adjust the centre pin to get it to sort of fire up nicely or make a good connection. So all you've got to do is just basically screw your whatever device you want to use on, flip it over and take the Allen key, insert that into the small hole, and you just basically start tightening it up until you can just sort of feel a little bit of resistance. Then you know that that centre pin is going to be making a good connection. Now I'm sure some people will be watching this and wondering exactly how the atomizer gets any power, because obviously you've got the connection up here, but there's no sort of wires or anything running through the actual main body. But it uses a pretty sort of simple and clever design, and obviously you can see you have an internal section and an external section, and one will be connected to the positive and one will be connected to the negative. And then when you screw the two parts together, obviously that's going to complete the circuit and transfer power from here up to here. Right, so assembling the surge tank is a pretty simple process. Just got to take your bottle, fill it up with your sort of favourite e-liquid, keep the bottle held upright, and then insert that into the main body and then just sort of screw it into place. And I've not had any leaking problems whatsoever with this. Now I would say don't over tighten it, because if you do over tighten it, it is quite tough to get back out again. And once that's in place, you can just take the bottom piece and screw that on. And then take your 510 atomizer. Like I said, you can use a 510 or a 306. That just screws on top. And then screw the whole thing onto whatever device you're using. And then what you're going to do is just sort of squeeze the sides here until you can just see a little bit of juice come out the top. And that's it, you can start vaping. Okay, so that is the surge tank. So let's go ahead and see what it vapes like. Okay, so that is the surge tank. So what I'll do now then is obviously go ahead and show you in action. So I've got the tank filled up with my favourite Titan tobacco flavour, and it's just an 18mg strength PG based e-liquid, and I'm using it with a 510 atomizer. Now the atomizer on its own reads at 1.4 ohms, but when I'm using it with the tank actually adds on a bit of resistance, so it's reading at 1.8 ohms, so it's added on to 0.4. Okay, so the tank, the atomizer is almost sort of running dry now, so I know I need to sort of basically give it another bit of a prime. So literally all I'm going to do then is just give the bottle a few squeezes, just so I can see some juice sort of form at the base there. And as soon as you see that, you know you're good to go. You can sort of start vaping again. And so like basically what it is it sort of, it's direct dripping without sort of direct dripping. Now for me personally, I can't stand direct dripping. I just think every time I do it, it just makes me feel like I've sort of gone back to the dark ages. You know, you have to take your bottle of e-liquid, carry that around with you for starters in your pocket. You then got to take your lid off, take your drip tip off, drip 2 or 3 little drops in there, put everything back together again, have about 3 drags and repeat the whole bloody process, you know, and it does my head in. Whereas this is doing the exact same thing, apart from all you've got to do is squeeze, 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 and that's it. So, you know, if you are going to direct drip and you're fed up with all that poncing about, then for me, this is a far, far better solution. And it works an absolute treat, to be quite honest. Now, like vapor-wise, throw hit-wise, flavour, etc., etc., you know, the tank isn't really going to sort of affect any of that. Oh, I know it adds on a little bit of resistance, but it's not going to be too much of a major effect. Because like, it will be very dependent on your own sort of personal setup. For example, what sort of atomizer you use, what sort of resistance you're using, what sort of voltage you're vaping at, etc., etc. All those will play a very big part in the amount of vapor production, throw here, and the flavour, obviously. But with the setup I've got here, as you can see, you know, it's really kicking out the vapor. You will find that, like, now once you've sort of primed it, try and give it another little squeeze there. Like the first sort of couple of drags do sound a little bit gurgly, but, you know, you just vape through that and then it's sort of perfectly fine. There isn't really a great deal else I can sort of tell you about it. I mean, like, my only sort of slight negative really is just the sheer size of it, because it is absolutely huge, or huge should I say. And obviously this is like a mini Pro Vari, but you know, it's almost the same size of it. So when you're using this on something like a full-size Pro Vari or like the lava tube, you know, it makes your device about sort of 10 foot long. And, you know, 6mm tank, you know, that it lasts me like, you know, absolutely ages, well over a day. And so I'm sure it would be the same for most people. But I think personally, I probably would have preferred a smaller version which held like a 3mm tank, just because I think it would look a little bit nicer when it's actually attached to whatever device you're using, a little bit more sleek, I suppose. At the moment, it just looks like you've got a mod on top of a mod, if you see what I mean. But literally, that's like my only sort of slight quibble with it. It's just like the sheer size of it. So if they could maybe do like a smaller version as well, then that'd be great. And like build quality, like this thing is built to last. It's just one big sort of proper solid lump of metal, but it's not particularly heavy though. Like, you're not really noticing much extra weight when it's attached to your device. It doesn't make a little mini Pro Vari feel sort of top heavy or anything like that. You know, it actually does feel quite nice to use. And literally, like I say, you know, it's just a big sort of proper solid lump of metal. You could sort of throw that on the ground and stamp on it, and I don't think you're going to do any sort of damage to it at all. You know, if you are a direct dripper and you're just looking for something that's a little bit sort of less hassle and works perfectly, and it works exactly the same or gives you the exact same results as direct dripping, then you know, I highly recommend it really. You know, if you fancy trying one of these out for yourself, go along to www.310vapors.com. Thank you very much for watching, and also come along and visit my website at www.e-cig-reviews.com. That's e-cig-reviews.com. Cheers guys, happy vaping, see you later.